The first time I remember feeling recognized and feeling appreciated for something was for asking a question. Almost 15 to 18 years ago, I asked the right person a good question, and it landed me into a series of live TV shows in Urdu where I was supposed to provide the youth perspective on prevalent social problems like illiteracy, poverty. As a child and a teenager, I used to ask a lot of questions. You could not shut me down by telling me, this is too complex for you, Mahin. By the way, I still ask a lot of questions. You can ask my peers and consultants. But at 13, when a TV anchor encouraged this annoying habit of mine, it changed something. I began to notice everything around me more intensely. I dug deeper into the lives and the stories of the people that I had met. And that curiosity slowly turned into anger. Anger and frustration at the state of affairs and the disparity that was present in society. Anger was the first emotion I got super close to, and since then, I have spent all my life trying to channel it productively. Unlike normal average people, I get consumed by people's pain. But gladly, with that sentiment, comes this burning commitment to alleviating that pain and suffering. But as a teenager, my approach was fairly simple. All I told myself that I had to do was listen to people and bring their issues and concerns to attention on social media or on the TV shows that I was doing. And that I could volunteer all of my free time towards organizations that were doing great work, like the Citizens Foundation. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Darul Sukoon, the Rotary Club, we did a polio drive. But it didn't feel enough. But then one day, thanks to my best friend in school, who would encourage me to think out of the box, to get out of my comfort zone, I ended up at an Ivy League school with a full scholarship. My very simple, and I'm objectively speaking, my very simple essay only captured the interactions that I had with people from different walks of life. That's it. And many people have asked me this, but my first year of college was awful. It was not rainbows and butterflies. I cried every day, and I felt lonely. But soon, I found a group of people who were equally passionate about making impact within their communities. And thanks to their encouragement, I ended up applying for every public service grant that my college offered to international students, thinking that even if I get $500, that's going to be enough for me to do something good. It may sound easy applying for all of these grants, but it's a lot of work. And it was incredibly hard managing that with a humongous school load, a research position, 3 student jobs. But I mean it when I say I wouldn't have done it any other way. I thought of these grants as small gifts that I was bringing home to the people that I cared about. And what is more powerful and beautiful than realizing that you can craft solutions to problems and there will be people who will financially and philosophically support you and your passion? But I do recognize that in addition to passion, what is needed is a community of like-minded people who believe in your vision. After spending my early 20s in the US, I moved back to Pakistan to pursue medicine here with all of you. I was very excited about coming back and working with the communities that I was familiar to, that I'd worked with in the past. After much introspection, I had decided to dedicate all of my energies towards healthcare. It was a competition between healthcare and education because I personally believe that a nation's progress is dependent on how much they invest in these 2 sectors. Pakistan currently invests less than 3% of their GDP towards healthcare and less than 2% on education. So when I came back, I wanted to familiarize myself with the landscape. I started volunteering part-time for this amazing nonprofit organization called Mama Baby Fund. What I would do was every day, every week, spend 2 days at the government hospital where I would round the inpatient ward and pen down the stories and struggles and dreams of pregnant women from lower socioeconomic class. In addition to that, I also got involved with the Aurat March organizing committee because I felt that would allow me to better understand the struggles of the underserved communities in Karachi. And while I did not offer much to their movement, I did end up learning a tremendous amount about Pakistani politics, Pakistani laws from these young, unapologetic activists, most of them being women. The disparities in healthcare access and the lack of basic necessities like clean water, shelter, all of that was appalling. But now let's get back to medical school. Medical school was not what I had expected at all. I was surrounded by these incredibly energetic and intelligent individuals who could regurgitate the rarest of facts related to the human body in a matter of seconds. But very few of them were aware of what human experiences meant outside of their bubble and across Pakistan. I felt that they lacked the righteous anger. But I don't blame you all. I don't blame the students. I blame medical institutions that prioritize the acquisition of scientific knowledge over intellectual growth and self-actualization. And I blame the educational system that expects students who've come out of secondary school to automatically know what they want to dedicate their entire life to. Most of the students succumb to parental or societal pressure and never really realize their true calling. They don't have the opportunity to really think about their dreams and their passion and their interests. I was very lucky in that regard. In college, I got this space for introspection and reflection, which was so valuable. Your usual Aga Khan University Hospital patient is not a regular any government hospital patient. There are geographical, social, political filters in place. And I felt that medical students in private medical colleges were just not getting the exposure to the nuanced context of practicing medicine in Pakistan. Eventually, at AKU, I did find my community. I found a couple of people, Muhammad Akil and Ali Haider, who had similar sentiments. So we put our heads together and we're like, how can we solve this issue? And that is where the idea of student-led clinics was born. I'll be very honest. Student-run free clinics, again, are not a novel idea. They are very common in the developed world. Almost every medical school in the US has an affiliated student-run free clinic where very frequently medical students and doctors volunteer their time to assist underserved populations like the uninsured, the undocumented, and the homeless. According to the Association of American Medical Colleges, at the moment, there are 106 student-run free clinics in America, a number that has doubled over the last 10 years. So, not a novel idea, something that works. And we decided to pitch this to the patron of a small student-run NGO called Humanity Initiative. Humanity Initiative at that time was primarily focusing on increasing health awareness and literacy in communities and schools, and would occasionally do medical camps. And this wasn't the first time I was pitching the student-led clinics idea to anyone. But it ended up being the first time when I received a positive response instead of a disappointing one. Dr. Yasser was like, go ahead. I believe in you guys. While this was a borrowed idea, without institutional support, and in the context of Karachi, where healthcare is a luxury, setting up a student-led clinic was a Herculean task. Akil would spend all of his free time talking to community organizers across Karachi to find us a place where we could conduct our recurrent clinics for free. And ultimately, we did find a place. And it was a school in Hijrat Colony where we conducted our first clinic on a Sunday. Prior to conducting this clinic, we did have multiple meetings with community leaders to better understand the healthcare issues that were prevalent, the socio-cultural dynamics of that particular neighborhood, the political parties that were active there, and if they would interfere with our operations, and how could we ensure the safety of patients and the healthcare providers. After months of effort, that auspicious day arrived where we took 10 medical students and 3 doctors to Hijrat Colony and ended up treating over 100 patients. Medicines were prescribed, referrals to specialists were facilitated, and tons of health counseling was done. It was a success, according to my standards. And after this, we didn't look back. Our aim was to have student-run, managed, planned, doctor-facilitated bi-monthly clinics in underserved communities with the goal of increasing health-seeking behavior and to improve the baseline health of that particular population. That is a photo from after second clinic, actually, some of the notes that we took before everything actually materialized. And how we use social media to raise fundings for our efforts. But once we were done by 2 clinics in Hijrat Colony, we were hit by a different crisis, the 2022 floods that caused catastrophic destruction. Having a team that was familiar with providing healthcare in a resource-limited settings was a game changer. We had also started encouraging medical students to step outside of the hospital and to learn about the challenges of your average Pakistani. So we had created this trend of service. So utilizing this momentum, we ended up mobilizing hundreds of medical students across Karachi to make medical aid an on-ground reality for many of the flood affectees. The response to our call was overwhelming. I was incredibly surprised, and then I realized that all these students needed was a nudge and the right directions and pathway to give back. Most of the students would eagerly spend hours of their free time pooling resources, organizing, strategizing, and executing the plans to not only medically, but also emotionally and economically help the flood affectees. I used to think that people went into medical school because they wanted to serve people and to alleviate suffering. And don't get offended. When I got here, I didn't get that feeling. But after the student-led clinics and the flood relief campaign, I was convinced and extremely optimistic about this group's potential and their intentions. During the 2022 floods, we ended up conducting 15 medical camps in 11 different areas, primarily in interior Sindh. Currently, our student-run clinics are running in 3 different areas in Karachi, North Karachi, Machar Colony, and Agra Taj, and we've conducted around 17 clinics so far over there. All of this was made possible by eager, enthusiastic students like you all. And a handful of doctors, some of them are our teachers, who believed in our ideas and joined us in our mission to increase healthcare access. I will share a story now, which has stuck with me and will probably stay with me for the rest of my life. At one of our clinics, one day, a 16-year-old girl presented with complaints of shortness of breath that she'd been having for over a year. It had affected her quality of life so badly that she had stopped going to college. She was in first year at that time. She brought these chest x-rays of extremely poor quality, and we couldn't really use them to decipher anything. The examinations at that time were unremarkable. So what we ended up doing was we referred her, we set up an appointment with an infectious disease specialist, and we repeated all of her investigations. After which she received the diagnosis of extrapulmonary TB. A few months ago, this young lady completed her anti-TB treatment. And during the entire journey, when she would come to the hospital for follow-up visits, you could see that she was physically and mentally getting better. She went back to college, and she's actually going to be sitting for the medical school entrance exam now. She wants to be a doctor. And I, for one, cannot wait to see her in a white coat serving her community. That's the difference we're talking about. I understand that privilege can sometimes make people ignorant of healthcare symmetries. But over the last few years, what I've learned is that when given the nudge and a culture that values exploration of these disparities and provides avenues to address them, their actions will surprise and move you. Through the introduction of accessible, service-based, and community-centered opportunities like student-led clinics, what Humanity Initiative did was push the imagination of your regular medical student and their belief in what they could actually contribute to their surroundings as a student. The idea that you have to wait until you're 40 or 50 to give back to the community, I think that's highly flawed. And I personally think that has the potential to erode the innate qualities of compassion, empathy that most medical students start their medical education with. Instead, opportunities like student-free or student-led clinics will nurture and cultivate these already existing qualities. I strongly believe that students, medical students, dental students, nursing students are an untapped resource when given the right tools and the right directions could alter the face of healthcare. Or at minimum, at least uplift the communities around them. It's a win either way. I often wonder, what was that question I asked as a child that changed my life? I wish I remembered. But it's almost poetic that I don't. It's as if my memories are trying to remind me of the same lessons over and over again. Don't worry about how important the question is, or how feasible, or how practical, or how sustainable. Dare to be the one who does things differently. Dare to ask. Thank you.